Right now on Hoosier News Source, a temporary fix to IU Health's staffing shortages, and a new Senate bill librarians say could lead to censorship.
And I have a review of our recent winter storm and an outlook on this week's active weather pattern. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Bridget Taylor. IU Health hired more than 600 contract nurses this week amid nationwide hospital labor shortages. Currently, Indiana has more than 4,300 openings for nursing staff according to Ivy Tech. These contract nurses may only pose a temporary fix to these shortages, as IU Health Chief Clinical Officer Chris Weaver says they've widened their search for a more permanent staff. IU Health is also offering sign-on incentives and relocation stipends to new nurses. Joining us now with more on controversial Senate bill that is causing librarians across the nation to worry is HNS reporter Elizabeth DeSantis. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Bridget. That's right. This week, I went to the Monroe County Public Library to talk to librarians about a Senate bill that could leave libraries vulnerable to lawsuits over the contents on their shelves. Let's take a look. A bill up for a vote in the State House right now removes legal protection for schools and public libraries containing materials harmful to minors. But who decides what is and isn't harmful?
It's such a slippery slope. One person's appropriate and informative piece of content is another person's pornography. And I know that sounds extreme, but we do see that in action in the form of some of our reconsideration requests.
Senator Jim Tone said in a statement to WFYI News that the bill is designed to keep pornographic books away from children. But representatives of the Monroe County Public Library say Senate Bill 17 can lead to censorship.
Libraries are going to do one of two things. They're either going to adopt more restrictive circulation and access policies to essentially protect themselves, or they're just going to forego selecting certain materials that they would have otherwise, which itself is an inadvertent form of censorship.
Librarians say there are already safeguards to keep explicit material away from libraries and schools. If parents have any questions about materials available in the libraries, they're able to submit a reconsideration request to the library to have the item moved to another collection or removed entirely. The process can last up to 6 weeks and involves librarians, administrators, and members of the public who represent multiple viewpoints. Library officials say those efforts can divert time and talent resources away from other library programs.
Were this to pass and open this gate to legal action, it would divert us from the very important work that we do serving all members of the community.
The bill passed in the state Senate earlier this week, 34-15. A bill nearly identical to Senate Bill 17 failed last session. But this year, it's gained more traction after the authors connected it to the controversial school curriculum bill, limiting discussions of race, religion, and politics in classrooms. Bridget, back to you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. In more lawmaking news, the Indiana House of Representatives recently approved a bill that could create more restrictions on mail-in ballots. The bill would require voters using a mail-in ballot to swear that they have no way to vote in person on the 28 days before Election Day. If voters swear this without it being true, they could be charged with perjury, which Democrats say could harm voter turnout. The bill is sponsored by Republican Representative Tim Wesco and comes across concerns of voter fraud during the 2020 election. The bill is now on its way to the House Senate. The dean of the Hamilton Luger School of Global and International Studies is stepping down after 8 years. IU hired Lee Feinstein as the school's founding dean in 2014. Since then, the number of global and international students has doubled, according to a report from the Indiana Daily Student. The school also currently ranks #1 nationally for teaching 80 foreign languages and is ranked for its 3 flagship program. Nick Clother is an international studies professor at the school and has been serving as an interim dean since February 1st. Now joining us with the latest on this week's warmer weather is Mia Keller. Mia?
Thanks, Bridget. This past week, Indiana experienced its first official winter storm. It started Wednesday night and ended late Thursday evening, bringing a mixture of ice, sleet, and snow here in Bloomington. With all the accumulation came hazardous traveling conditions for both the roads and for those on foot. Thankfully, these past few days have seen lots of melting, with most of our accumulation likely to be gone as we approach the weekend. Now, let's take a look at the week. Warmer highs are expected to be in the upper 30s and 40s as we get closer to the weekend. With warmer temperatures will come a slight chance of rain and possible flurries Wednesday evening as a weak front impacts the region. Our next chance of precipitation, which will likely be just rain, will conclude the week as colder air moves in. Now, as we can see, a warm front will move through the area Wednesday and bring a few rain showers with it. As we get into Saturday, a pair of cold fronts will move southeast into Indiana, keeping temperatures down in the teens during the evenings and wind chills in the single digits throughout the weekend. Stay safe and warm and have a great week. Bridget, back to you.
Thanks, Mia. Coming up on Hoosier News Source after the break, a longtime voice of IU basketball retires, and we share what's going on around the world. Stay with us. Welcome back to Hoosier News Source. HNS reporter Ashton Hackman joins us now with news from around the world. Ashton.
Thanks, Bridget. Tensions have not eased up in the Russia-Ukraine crisis. U.S. officials say that Russia has nearly 70% of the weapon capability at the border needed for an invasion. Diplomats around the world speculate that Russia may invade Ukraine within the coming days. The tensions come as President Biden met with the newest German chancellor. Biden saying this week that the proposed Nord Stream 2 pipeline between Russia and Germany will be off the table if Russia were to invade. NATO continues to plan this week for how it would respond to the expected invasion. And over in China, the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics are officially underway. The snow in the games is 100% man-made, which some climatologists says has dangerous implications for a future with climate change. Tracking the medal count, the ROC is leading with 10 total medals, followed by Norway with 8, and the Netherlands, Italy, and Austria all tied with 7. The U.S. has won 5 medals but has yet to claim gold, marking one of the longest streaks without a U.S. gold medal in the Games' history. A Moroccan boy died Saturday after being rescued from a well by rescue teams. Rayan Oram fell into an underground well located in the Chef Chazouin province last Tuesday afternoon. The 5-year-old boy was playing by the area before he fell and was discovered after his mother heard him crying from below. She called authorities, which prompted the rescue mission that lasted several days. Rayan was sent food and water from the top of the well by authorities as they worked to release him. On Saturday evening, Rayan was rescued from the 100-meter well where a medical helicopter and staff were waiting for him. Despite efforts from local authorities and community members, Rayan did not survive the tragic accident. That's all for this week. Bridget, back to you.
Thanks, Ashton. Chuck Crabb has been the iconic voice of Assembly Hall since 1977. But now, 45 years later, he has decided to put the microphone away. Crabb announced his immediate retirement last week. Associate Athlete Director Jeremy Gray will serve as the interim announcer for the remaining home games, and auditions are planned to take place following the end of the season. Over a year after IU declared they would remove the name Jordan from around campus, Jordan Avenue has officially been renamed Eagleson Avenue. The name change is to honor the Eagleson family, whose members made significant contributions to the IU and Bloomington communities. Jordan Avenue became Eagleson Avenue effective February 1st, with the city replacing the street signs. IU has also switched out signs on campus with the new street name. One thing that is yet to change, however, is the buildings themselves that have the name Jordan on them. IU is not yet declared when they plan on changing these building signage or the signs in front of many of the Greek houses with the name Jordan engraved. And now, Kevin Vera joins us in studio with the latest in IU sports. Kevin?
Thanks, Bridget. The Hoosiers kicked off the weekend facing against number 18th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. It was a hard-fought battle between the two teams as Indiana was only down 2 points at half. Xavier Johnson's team-high 12 points wasn't enough as Illinois was led by National Player of the Year candidate Kofi Coburn. Illinois took the lead in the final 20 minutes of play, leaving Assembly Hall with a 74-57 win. On the women's side, the Hoosiers looked towards rival Purdue facing off for the second time this season. A back-and-forth battle made the game come down to the final seconds as Indiana held on and defeated Purdue 64-57. Chloe Moore McNeil finished with her first career double-double, and Nicole Cardano-Hillary led the team with 19 points, helping secure the win. Indiana now travels to Illinois as they take their turn to face off the Fighting Illini tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's all for this week on IU Sports. Bridget, back to you.
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you for watching this week's episode of Hoosier News Source. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV News. I'm Bridget Taylor from Bloomington, Indiana. We'll see you next time.